It's like, I don't know, 2 minutes after 6. Tonight is December the 6th, and I'm going to call the regular select board meeting to order. First item is, oh boy, to approve some minutes, and boy has the select board been meeting.
Busy.
So we have.
These look like hours, not minutes.
I know, they are more like.
They have been. It has been done.
All right, so let's do them as a slate, or do you want to do them separately? People have a comment on the.
Should we let them know that they're all basically involving a subject?
Yeah, so, well, let's do first, let's do two, first we'll do the regular select board meeting. Can we have a motion to approve regular select board meeting minutes from the 15th?
Second.
Okay, so that was our last real regular meeting. Any questions, concerns, comments on that? All right, so all in favor of approving those minutes as written, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries, so that's one. And then the next is, we have a whole slate of minutes that were special meetings regarding the town manager search and negotiations. And those are, so I'd like a motion to accept the slate of minutes. They're from November 18th, November 19th, November 20th, and November 21st.
And November
29th.
And November 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So,
the only thing I see on those is that I think I was at all of those meetings. And
I thought I put you in them afterwards.
did I leave you out of some of
They
them?
must have gotten printed. The old version got printed or something. But anyway, I just wanted to note that I think I was at all those
Did
meetings.
I not put
Yeah, I
you in
think you
them?
were too.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Lucian,
It happens.
18.
You know, that's why we're getting a new town manager.
I'm gonna add Lucian on the 19th. Proof that you were reading. That was just a test.
Yeah, right.
Take a whole lot of reading.
So we're gonna add Lucian for the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. How did you?
Was he here on the 21st? So the day we were talking about with Abby about phone.
Yeah, I was.
You were?
That's the 29th, wasn't it?
No, 21st.
21st.
And the 29th.
Yeah.
So 29th, do we have Lucian on the, I don't have those in here in.
Yeah, because I just barely printed them, you emailed them to me.
I did write them, which leaves them a little suspect, but.
I made 2 adjustments. One was that Amanda was not at the meeting.
Yep,
And
which I caught.
It was just one word. It was supposed to say accept 300 instead of save 300.
Which means the same thing. Did you see my reply to you?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, it's okay, either way.
The wording looked funny though, so.
And,
Don't make
can you
him
make
feel bad.
but we need to make sure Lucian is listed on those if I.
We're gonna handwrite his name in right now.
All right, good.
So you can sign and get it over with.
Awesome.
Because I remember after you emailed me, I went and we talked on the phone and I turned around and I put them in and must be I didn't save them, I don't.
Sorry.
That was the easiest thing I had to do all day.
All right, so all in favor of approving those minutes as amended to add Lucian where missing, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next up is set adjust agenda. John, pay attention.
I'm listening.
Set adjust
A
agenda.
bunch of things.
Anybody?
So do we need to have an executive session?
Do we need to have an executive session at the end? We're good at the end?
Yeah.
We're adding an executive session
Yeah.
to discuss police contracts generally. The police may be entering into
Personnel contracts.
Personnel
The
contracts.
whole realm of legal.
And so
Everything.
we're gonna do that, and
Multitude.
that's to include the town manager, the chief, and the future town manager.
What?
I know it.
Suck it up.
I don't know, do we want Casey?
I was get out of here early tonight.
No. Yeah, it was Casey, in case
And
she
Casey,
should know what
we're
we're
gonna
doing.
spring her.
Why does
Let her
Casey need
go.
to be there?
Somebody can fill her, she doesn't have to stay.
I'm winning some points here. Why does Casey have to be here?
Aaron
Casey,
wants her to be.
I can keep,
You can fill her in after.
right?
That's fine.
Then she can,
handle
that way she
the
can go
numbers.
But
home.
her rig is between John's and Aaron's, so she, anyway,
No, I blocked Aaron in.
that's fine, I don't care.
All right. So any other changes to the agenda?
that I can remember.
All in favor of approving the agenda with the addition of an executive session right between old business and adjourned meeting? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
All right, great. So now we got a new agenda. Next is communication from the audience. We do have an audience, but I think they're all here for items on our agenda, so thank you for coming. Next up, town manager report. John Jewett, what have you been doing?
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I noticed he changed his font size to make his report look bigger.
You know what, last time, I had more stuff on my report last time, so I had to make it smaller.
Yeah.
So this time I made it bigger because I had less.
Oh my God. Look at the next
And I'm
page.
just trying to give you a full plate. Just want to let you know that a majority of my work for the last week or so has been working on an application for the USDA Municipal Facilities Grant to fund part of the trail work to improve the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail. And I believe in a couple of weeks we'll probably be having a public hearing on that, or maybe in a month or so. But I think that Eric plans to do a little overview for everybody before that, just to get everybody warmed up. But we're looking at rehabbing the rail trail essentially from Wright Farm Road all the way to the Walden Town line. And we are acquiring funds, hopefully from the Bike Ped program from VTrans, using our federal earmark for bike paths, and utilizing some USDA money and a little bit of town match, which is not very much for, and
Private donations.
private donations.
And we're also going to apply to the new VORC grant.
VORC grant, which I don't know that much about that one. But anyways, we're talking about, without the VORC grant, we're talking about a $700,000 project, $750,000 project. And with the VORC grant.
And that doesn't complete the full 14 miles.
No, the last segment would be going from Wright Farm Road back to Wolcott, towards Wolcott. But that creates a 14-mile trail, which would be absolutely incredible.
And I just throw in a meeting with somebody from Greensboro Planning Commission who's interested in revitalization in the Bend on Monday, because there's a little bit of that as you go through Hardwick. There's a little bit that loops up into the Bend. And so we're gonna get Greensboro on board.
About a quarter of a mile, just swings around there and comes back out.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
has a bridge.
Bridge is in
They have one bridge.
Hardwick
in
or?
Greensboro.
It is?
Where?
Because you go by Archie Holbrook's.
Oh, that's right, you
There's
cross
a
the-
line, and then you
yeah.
go around, you go by a bridge, and then right to the depot, right there.
Yeah,
There's a bridge.
right, because you cross the headwaters of Lamoille right
Right there.
Yeah,
Is it in
right.
bad shape?
Not bad, but it's a structure that will,
It's a
that's
structure.
where the money is in the
Needs
structure.
to be redacted.
The big one is when you come back around across the town line into Hardwick and have the Standard Mountain
And you
overpass.
go down to the road.
what-
You could, but then you'd need a bridge across.
Hey,
that
so I
one.
was talking with a person that said, you know what we should do there? Is that instead of building a bridge there, and I know what they want to do, they wanted to move the abutments back in the river and move the road back and make the whole bridge longer. That's why it's going to cost so much money. But I had talked with somebody the other day, they suggested just taking the abutments down and sloping the rail trail
Except
back
for you
up.
still need a bridge, or you go up onto Orton Road, whatever that road is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Standard Mountain Road.
But you'd have to go up it and take a right.
And then if you move that abutment out of the river, you could move the river back away from the road.
Right.
And then you could
Yeah.
slope the trail
No,
on the other side, you
there's
could
a
ride
lot
up
of
on both
options.
sides without a bridge.
All of which take money. That's,
But not a lot of money, not 1.3 million.
shouldn't, I agree.
All it takes is an excavator and somebody like you to run it. Okay.
Yellow Barn.
So, all right, let's move on to Yellow Barn. Yellow Barn, the geotech engineers and the archaeological consultant will be at the Yellow Barn on Friday the 14th to begin evaluating a site for construction, I should say, of a new building and for a determination of listing on the National Historic Register for the barn. We're continuing to move ahead with the Phase 2 environmental assessment and the wetlands permitting. That's where we are on that. Phase 2 is kind of a big thing because there's some concerns that there may be, problems with migration of waste from other locations in town that could get over there, which I don't really agree that could happen because it's uphill from there. But anyway, I guess liquids can flow uphill, but I don't know
And
when.
through rock.
Health officer complaints. We had a complaint right from the health department. They asked me to go take some pictures of a house that they feel are violating the lead standards. The owner of the house has said that he's been maintaining the best management practices for lead abatement and encapsulation, and the health department didn't think he was, so they wanted me to take pictures, so I went and took pictures the other day and transmitted them to the health department. There's a complaint about trash accumulation on Bridgman Hill and a concern about potential rats, but rats aren't there yet, but they feel that there might be, so we're gonna have to go look at that. Then there was a kind of a different kind of complaint. It came from Berry City, from someone who works on a program down there, who was complaining about this for a person who lives in Hardwick, who said that this young lady's living with her 3 kids in a place that's not insulated. They're using, and they're renting it, and they're using a salamander to heat the place. And so she's really concerned about about them dying of carbon monoxide inhalation. So, I asked her to tell me where the place was. She didn't. She said the person who's in there needs to contact you, so I'm waiting to hear back on that. So we'll probably get out to deal with that. We signed the Cabot Hardwick wastewater discharge agreement, and it is going to be with Cabot tomorrow, and then they can work on signing it and getting it back to us. So we talked about that last meeting, I think. So I had a complaint about 7 Mill Street down here. It's where they're doing that work on the clip joint, and that they have that parking lot completely filled up with stuff, and people can't park there very well. And so I had a complaint from...
Not only that, the contractors have that entire length of the street blocked from 6 o'clock in the morning when I go up through. They're parked there, and they're there until the end of the day. So there's no... All that parking is being utilized for this project.
So the resident just wanted me to call them, and I did, just to ask if they could move some of the trash container and everything closer to the building, so allow at least for a couple of people to park there. Because this time of year it's pretty hard for people to find parking.
And you gotta be off the street at night.
Right. So the contractor said that they would be done probably by the end of January. Slap Hill's essentially done. They're just finishing up. They got their tenants back in there. Highland Avenue was completed, essentially they said completed today, but it will be, they've got a couple more weeks just to clean things up and get out of there. 7 Mill Street will be the end of January, and they said 87 Church Street was essentially right on the edge of being done too, so they expect to be out of there soon. They said they would have been out of there sooner if it didn't turn into winter in the middle of November. So EF Wall's doing this project, and they're usually pretty good about this sort of thing, and they've been really good to work with. If I've asked them to do things, they've done it. So, so that's where we are on that. Great. That's my report.
Good job.
Thank you. Next up is road foreman report. We know they've been plowing, salting.
That's it.
And
No, go ahead and read it.
Okay.
oh, you have the road foreman report? Okay, go ahead.
So it's pretty short, but hung up banners and lights in the town, put up the railings by the swinging bridge, and I believe that must be the railings that came back.
They put the railings up already?
It says put up the railings by the swinging bridge, so it must be those ones. So, and then obviously plowing, sanding, salting, been pretty busy with
How
that.
did you put the railings up without clearing the snow from the
Funny, because I plow and I ain't plowed all week.
They've been salting, I think. No?
Oh, I got a complaint today that we didn't have enough salt on a road, or sand.
Sharon, can you say that louder?
Well, I just wonder how they did the railings without clearing the snow in that whole patch by the, like, did they just stomp through
He's
it?
wondering
or-
about snow clearing as well. Do we,
Yeah.
no ETA on snow clearing downtown? Nope.
I don't
Okay.
have information, I just,
If I ask them, they're just gonna say they've been waiting for it to stop snowing for a couple of minutes, so they
Well,
can
it
do it.
stopped snowing for a couple of days. I mean, the bottom line is, we have a thriving downtown right now during the holiday season, and there's no reason in the world. I just barely left a downtown establishment and watched 2 old ladies about get killed climbing over the snow to get to the sidewalk.
Well, John had to like help me get over the.
So I don't understand it, but it's not good for the town. It's not good for the businesses. And I don't understand why it can't be dealt with in a timely manner. Tom?
Tom. So that's communication to Tom.
That would
Not
be,
to me.
Right,
that would be micromanaging from the select board.
right. But the communication, yeah. All right, next up,
Make a list of all the hours they put into the last 2 weeks, I'm gonna provide it to the board next meeting.
It doesn't matter, John, if it takes 100 hours. Job needs to be done.
That's right, just mention
So,
it, that's all.
I know that, I get it, but it doesn't, that is not the excuse.
Most CDL drivers are required to have a certain number of hours.
Well, I'm telling you right now, it hasn't snowed in a week.
They were plowing
A
this morning.
significant amount.
Well,
Or whatever they were doing, salting maybe.
it doesn't matter, I guess.
Anyway.
I guess we don't owe that, I guess we don't owe that to our businesses downtown.
It just needs to be a higher priority, I think is all we're saying.
Talk with Tom about it
Because
next meeting.
I think Danny's right, that it is like
Thank you,
downtown
Aaron.
is going well, and it is a safety issue. Police Department report, Aaron Cochran, you're up next.
Okay, for the month of November, 179 incidents. For the month of November, variety again, we had the snow come a little earlier than probably everybody expected, and along came the fender benders and bad roads, and so that kept us fairly busy as well. Also in the packet, you'll see the charts. Wiz had asked a couple meetings ago, I wasn't at the last meeting, but about the North Main and the school zone and so on. So all the charts are in there for those, well, the findings of that particular highway. Let's see, the first chart, vehicle and speed file there, shows daily average speeds. We have that, which the total vehicles, let's see here, we had, so there's over 16,000 vehicles in a week on that going up North Main Street towards the high school. So quite a few vehicles. The first chart you see shows each day the amount of people exceeding the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit and the amount of people obeying, you know, the speed. Then you have, which wasn't as high as what I expected actually. I expected more speed violations there, but it is concerning that it is in a school zone, and there were as many as there were on each particular day for those high speeds. So.
Just to name it, so what we're seeing is, I'm on this chart, is that the one with the?
Second one, yeah.
Yeah, with the, so it's out of 16, so the second page of charts with.
Bob says page 2 or 4?
Yep,
Yep,
page
that's
2 or 4.
Your weekly speed summary there.
That's what you were just talking about?
Well, I was looking at the first one, but this one gives another summary. This one too we can look at as well. It gives you your, that one there will give you your average speeds and the amount of people within the speed range.
Okay, so hang on, go back to the page 1 of 4.
So page 1.
So the top graph there shows.
The top graph is showing.
What are the 2 bars?
So the top bar is the amount of people that were within the speed limit.
Okay.
The bottom bar is the amount of people that were over the speed limit.
So in a lot of days, we had about 2,500 cars within the speed limit and about 120 above it, right?
Yeah, average.
Well, those numbers are extremely close, aren't they?
Yeah, day to day.
Wow, day to day.
Yeah, there's not a lot of day-to-day variation. Except Tuesday.
Yeah, it's up on Tuesday.
But Sunday, a lot less, but more, just as many speeders.
Right. Those people are still going.
Yeah.
Friday during this particular week seemed to be the worst. It had the highest amount.
So I would think this data is great to see first time. First time data is first time data.
Yep.
It's after we do this for a year.
Yeah.
See the changes.
And have, you know, 6 collection points of the data, and then see, that's when because people are skeptical of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, you know, and the main thing is to help us pinpoint where we need to target speed enforcement. There's some areas that need it more than others. Everybody that lives on every street says they have a, you know, we have people that say they have a speeding problem, and there are some streets that have speeding problems more than others. We obviously can't be everybody's individual bodyguard for speed enforcement, so we have to be able to target at different times the more serious to the less serious and try to hit all of them, but we're gonna have to find out where the more serious violations are occurring first, to target those, and that's where this data will help us be able to target those operations.
Aaron, I assume that this is over more people obeying the law than breaking it?
Right.
And sometimes even more than that. But you're right, these 120 speeders.
In a school zone.
In the
is
school zone.
concerning. Yeah. And generally, if your speeds are set correctly, you will have a majority of people complying.
About 87%.
Yeah, with that speed. So I would say the speed was set correctly, because we have a large, amount of compliance. But I am concerned about those there. I'm also concerned about the elementary school, that main stretch right there, which this spring, we're gonna have to set up a sign where we can do that, to try and collect some data there. But I have sat there myself and watched cars that are crazy.
In front of the Catholic church?
With
Like,
speed.
in front of the elementary school?
Yeah.
Even with the stop sign being right there?
Yeah.
So is it leaving the stop sign or stopping at the stop?
I've seen a lot of them come up around the corner, come off from Wolcott Street, and
I would think that would be the way
And
that
move.
speeding is, right?
You know,
And the
pretty
acceleration.
fast. Yeah.
That'd be neat.
Cell phones is another thing. We've seen, during the school crossings, we've seen a lot of cell phone use, people not paying attention.
Nabble,
So,
blue lights.
well, it's interesting because usually when we're checking it out to see what we've got for a problem, I haven't been in a cruiser, I've been in another vehicle, so, you put a cruiser there, you're gonna have more compliance.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get good data either, if you're sitting there in a fully marked police cruiser.
Well, we have a new car that is
So,
marked.
we do. My truck gets used for a lot too. But, that's another area of concern, but we don't have any data there yet, other than just visual that we've seen. But we did get this data off, so I did want to get it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, so you can see that. We'll probably need to look at it, I can't.
It's also encouraging that most of the speeders are roughly within 5 to 10 miles an hour. I mean, it's not egregious.
Right.
It's just
Some of
speeding.
that too, you'll see when you have a sign that flashes your speed, especially if there's other people, and if somebody knows who you are, it's a little bit of an embarrassment if you're going, a little bit over the speed limit there, and your neighbors behind you watching you, and so, there's also that plays in, so that helps bring the speeds down a little bit, so you don't have real crazy speeds, but.
You saw the people in East Hardwick were interested in having signs, sound like.
Through there as well, next time.
Yeah.
But it's put away for the winter, essentially?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
They're almost a $4,000 piece of equipment that really, they're battery operated, so the cold temperatures, the ones that they have left up, like the Woodbury has, those are solar powered. So they actually have the solar, but those are a permanent thing, and they're high enough up so that I don't think they're probably gonna get as much salt and so on, and they have a solar power for a constant operation, which we don't have that, for these. The solar panels make it much less mobile to be able to do that, but yeah.
So I think I'll need to just look through these after the meeting, because it's hard to read them and digest them and comment, but, so.
Are these going to be on the website?
If somebody wants to put them on, I can, I'm
All right.
with that, so.
Carry on, Aaron.
And then the last page of that report, we had also, I think Wiz had asked about, when we talked about the reorganizing of putting a detective and so on, and kind of progress as to how it was, progressing. So, the last sheet is about 4 months. He was on vacation in July, so this is about 4 months worth of cases that have been worked solely by the detective, and all but about 3 of them are all closed cases. There's quite a variety, as you can see there, of different cases, and most of them fairly serious, a lot of felony cases as well. So by having that investigator to be able to concentrate on a case and not have to run to a dog complaint and so on, we're able to close all of these cases, which are mostly all felonies.
So it's working.
Working great. Yeah, working great. Yep.
Thanks for providing that.
Yeah, sure. I make him give it to me every quarter anyway, so. Make sure he's keeping up, doing what he's supposed to. But, no, that has worked awesome. It really has. That's been a tremendous change. So, I think the other officers have felt some relief as well, because the cases are getting, some of those cases are getting, that take more investigation are getting shifted over to the investigator. So, that's all working out real well. The last bit of news I have is disheartening, but we have Corporal Chris Tatro has decided to move on to another department. He's taken another job, so he'll be getting done with us at the end of December. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Aaron? All right. Next is HED report, which we're not going to have tonight by the looks, unless somebody wants to give the HED report. Vanessa? Okay.
You did pretty well.
Yeah, I did last time, so.
I thought we had an email exchange from Mike Sullivan about, sorry, I missed the meeting. I'll be there Thursday night, and you said, oh, no, it was last Thursday, and he's like, oh, I'll be the next Thursday.
Yep.
This is...
That's why it's on the agenda.
Okay.
When I tried to get him for an article, he said he's out of the country right now.
So.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be him, but it's
Right,
HED.
so we'll get them back on track. I think John and I talked, and at some point we thought that we had come to an understanding with them that maybe the second Thursday of the month when we met would be a good time for them to come.
He scheduled those times himself.
Right. So at one point we had that, and it's kind of fallen apart, so we'll try to reestablish that, maybe by reaching out. Maybe I'll reach out to their board directly and see if we can get back on a regular schedule with them. That'd be good. All right. Next up is item number 1. Amanda is gonna give us the delinquent tax update.
Drum roll.
So after talking with Alberta today, we billed out $5,110,069.72 for taxes for the 2017-18 taxes. And back in May, the delinquent list was only $222,358.11. That's a lot, but the town offers 6-month contracts for people to try and catch up, and it's easier instead of sending them to the lawyer's office. As of today, we're down to $19,170.62. I had 32 contracts this year for the 2017-18 taxes, and 17 have paid, and I suspect at least 8 more will be paying. This year's not as good as last year because not a lot of people are paying like they were last year. But
you mean people on contracts are not keeping up?
Yeah. But once their contract ends, I send them a notice, and that really gets them going. So I'm starting to send notices now. So I suspect that 19,000 will come down quite a bit by the end of December.
So the 19,000 includes people on contracts?
Includes
everybody, all the delinquent taxes.
All the delinquent taxes as of today that are left out of the 5 million.
Okay.
It's not bad.
That is
pretty.
3/100ths of a percent of the taxpayers, of the taxpayer. I think that's wonderful. Congratulations, Hardwick, for paying your taxes. I mean, that's great.
Even after having a hard year, I think 19,000 is significant. I mean, considering the 5 million, it's pretty good remaining.
Right. I mean, we need to collect it.
Right.
But in the scheme of things, people in Hardwick pay their taxes, and I think that's wonderful.
I visited East Montpelier's website today trying to figure out how many what their tax, delinquent tax rate was, because they've been up around $200,000, $230,000 throughout the year, and then some on top of that from previous years. But they've changed the way they collect their taxes now, and I think that Sullivan and Powers is their auditors, and they said that they have talked to them about how the town of Hardwick does it, and the fact that we do it with the town manager's office and an attorney. So now they have their town administrator being the tax collector. But I also wanted to mention that they've implemented a couple of things. One is they'll take a credit card, so you can pay with a credit card. They charge 2%. But they also will do, if you want to set up an ACH to pull the money directly out of your savings account, you can give them the routing number, your account number, and when the bill comes due, they can pull it out of your account directly, so you don't even have to write a check. And the good thing about that, if you have money in the account, is the fact that you don't have to worry about forgetting to write your check. I worry about that every year.
And so we currently don't either ACH or take credit cards?
No, but that would be easy to do. And I talked with my nephew, who's a select board member in Williamstown. They did the same thing, and they said it's been great for them. They've gotten a lot. They said you still have some delinquencies, but you have some fewer delinquencies.
Yeah, and you're making it easier for people.
Yeah.
And there are definitely companies, I know from working with municipalities through banking, where you can have a button right on your website that they can pay, and then the client pays the credit card fee, because obviously we can't use taxpayer dollars to pay the credit card fee. So they just pick up the fee if they want to pay their taxes with a credit card. It's 2 or 3%.
I thought maybe you could ask the town clerk if she wanted to investigate that, talk with some other town clerks across the town, because they have a listserv where they can just go on, just like the health department listserv, and she can ask people who they have and what they do, and she could contact East Montpelier, she could contact Williamstown, Plainfield.
Danville has a credit card system.
Danville too, and maybe implement the same thing here and save her a lot of work.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Come on in.
We're just keeping the heat. All right, that's great.
Trying to keep the heat in.
Amanda, thank you for bringing that to us. Next up is item number 2, and that is select board to consider approval and signing of an employment contract with a new town manager, Sean Fielder.
What?
Shocking, I know. So, I believe everyone should have received a copy of the proposed contract, the draft contract, and we should have it. So, first I'd like to have a motion
I don't think it's here.
So moved.
to accept.
Hey, I think we have to go get a contract.
That's okay, we can do it, we could sign it after.
Yeah, it's just a section.
Yeah, we have.
We've got it.
We can sign it downstairs afterwards. It's fine with me too.
Vanessa needs a photo.
Vanessa's still gonna do a photo, it's okay.
We
So,
have a signature page.
Got this roll with it.
we'll just roll with it. So, I just
I
wanna,
didn't write the contract, so I didn't know who was supposed to print it.
I was supposed to print it probably.
Nah, doesn't matter.
I didn't.
We talked about it.
Print it
too, didn't we?
downstairs.
Amanda and I talked about it too.
So, you already got it, good. So, all right, but we still need to move ahead with,
Approving it anyway.
So Sherry said so moved, so we have a motion to
Second.
approve the contract for employment of the new town manager. We have a second from Danny. Discussion?
Good hire.
Good hire. So, all in favor of approving the employment contract, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, so we'll sign it after. And we just want to, actually, Sean, why don't you come up and shake hands with people? And And I just want to
I got a gift, I got a coming home gift for him.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to say too that Sean, we're really excited to have Sean coming. We're sad to see John leave this month.
My warranty ran out.
Sean's going to be starting with us the beginning of January on the 7th, and we're really excited to have him come. We had a lot of qualified candidates apply, but Sean was we felt was by far the best fit, and we're really happy to have him joining us.
Welcome, John. Thank you very much. Okay, before he shakes hands with everybody, I just wait here. I've got the first thing I want to give you. Just tell everybody what that is.
Yeah, blood pressure monitor. I haven't signed the contract yet.
Advil.
Yeah, that's good.
For your headache.
Some Advil.
And the last thing is a bottle of brandy, put in your desk. And the next thing is, this might save you a few problems it has me, just some candy to start off your candy day.
Thank you. That's awesome.
There we go. Very nice.
I always hit John's candy up when I'm in his office, so I'll carry on that tradition. Thank you.
I'll stop in and check my blood pressure with yours later.
Thank you.
I think we should do a baseline check right now.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Please, thank you.
You're very welcome. I got the name right.
Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I didn't stand up.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, I'd love to have you make a comment.
Oh, my gosh.
Just a couple of comments, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Well, I had to do this because I would lose track, I know. So I wanted to say thank you to the select board. I'm really honored that I'm going to be moving into the position of manager. I'm humbled by this, and I do treat it as a high honor, myself and my family. And thank you to Eric. Eric and I have been communicating quite a bit behind the scenes these past 3 weeks, and that's been, I think he would agree, it's been a very positive interaction. So I know he's been talking a lot with the select board about various aspects of me coming into the role, and it's just been really positive right from the start. So that's given me a really good sign, if you will. I do look forward to working with the select board. Working with the other elected officials in town, working with the department heads and all the employees at all levels. In addition, I look forward to working with the citizens of the community, the business owners, and of course the visitors in my leadership role. We'd like to say to John that, John, you're handing over the reins, and please know this, I'm committed to carrying on a positive leadership role as you've done for these past 7 years, and hopefully I can do you proud. We've known each other a long time, 25 years almost, and it's always been a positive experience. So, it goes without saying that I wish you the best on your retirement.
Thanks.
I really appreciate your support. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
John, here's your blood pressure.
No, they're real gifts.
Policy against booze in the town hall.
Not having it, just drinking it.
That's what I meant. Thank you.
So Sean doesn't officially start until January the 7th, now that we know that the 7th is the Monday, not the 8th. And, but we're gonna be trying to pull him into the loop whenever we can, so that when he does start, there aren't any big surprises. That's the hope.
And we should also mention that John has also graciously said that he'll help with the transition.
Yeah, John's never going away.
It's like Sean said, we're going to be in touch, we can talk things over and stuff like that, and I said, no. Yeah, no, actually,
You're only a phone call away.
Yeah.
That's right. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Then with the fun stuff.
Yeah, that was a highlight of the evening. All right, moving on. We're moving to the budget.
That's what I said. Party's over.
Party's
over. Get the bottle, get the booze out.
Yeah. All right. So just just to give a short preview, every night we've been trying to go through some aspects of the budget with our regular meetings. So tonight we're going to try to hit police, library, rec, trails, office and payroll. So holy cow. We got plenty of things to cover. Luckily, we have folks from those departments who are either here or joining us, so that's good. And Casey, I think police is first because that's first on the way it's written.
I think you just said a list, but sure, we can do that first. Okay.
And I get it to fit.
Alrighty, so. This is kind of, let me do this, all right. So.
I think we should move the screen to the back of the room.
So you think it's easier to see? Well, I would suggest you go sit over there. Last time we were chatting with John, so.
It was bad.
Yeah. You can come sit at Lucian's seat.
No, he can't see either.
No, I'm gonna go over there.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I can, yeah.
You can
Grab another seat.
grab another chair while we're getting organized.
John will be back. Oh, yeah, I can sit there.
Okay, so a few notes. Workers' comp, so originally I didn't have the final numbers from VLCT, which just arrived via email today, but since I was in jury draw, I haven't had a chance to update that, but they had recommended a 10% increase on workers' comp, so that's what I did for that. And this, I just put in a 5% increase until I have the final number. I think that may be less. It looked like the numbers were lower when I quickly glanced at it today, but I will be able to update that once I have a chance to really look at it tomorrow. Retirement expense, we did get the new notification that the employer and employee portions, what they'll be increasing to for fiscal year 20, and that number reflects that based on the salaries. Okay, so I'll just scroll down a little bit more.
I'm just curious about overtime and part-time.
Okay. So overtime, what did we do, percentage? Yeah, do you want to talk about that?
Sure, well, I can tell you the part-time especially. So last year, the part-time was slashed from 12,000 down to 5,000, which I was very hesitant about. And
we've already went over.
We went over in the first quarter, so we bumped that back up to where we were at the previous year. I think Eric's concern last year too was that when you try to get too close, you end up with problems, and I fear that's what's happened, because that we ended up with unexpected things, which ate up that part-time budget in the first quarter of that $5,000. So I think that's only reasonable to go back to, where we were the previous year, rather than that probably should not have been cut that extreme to begin with. So that's the part-time budget.
But that was probably cut because well, I'm not sure, but the previous action.
Yeah, because we had only used the three. The part-time officers that we had at the time were retiring, and some were moving on. Some had retired, were still working for us, but no, they weren't able to put in a lot of time. So it was down. Not all of the shifts were getting covered. Some of the in-between shifts weren't getting covered because the full-time officers were having to work so much overtime. So essentially that line, wasn't spent. There wasn't a lot of that line spent. We were at the $3,000 actual expenditures the previous year. So that's why it went to the 5,500, but I was concerned about that. And
we played that sort of
gambling game every year, the last 8 years, where one year it's the overtime is way up, and the next time it's the part-time is way up, and then we switch it around, and then circumstances on the ground change. But the good thing about it is you can move money, most of the time you can move money from the overtime to the part-time, and the part-time back to the overtime, and still be okay.
You know, if anything, I think we did I think it was a 3% increase is what we did on the overtime, was a 3% increase. If anything.
That's 10%.
I think we did, but did we do 3% of the base payroll? Is that what you're thinking?
Maybe that's what
maybe.
we came up with that, but if anything, that would be able to get adjusted down a little bit, because of the part-time staff, you know, is taking up some of those shifts now that we have. We have a good solid part-time staff.
So you transfer some of the money from the overtime to the part-time?
Right. Yeah. So essentially you can bring that, because we used 47,000 the year before, and that was a pretty heavy overtime year. So we might be able to go down.
So in between 47 and 56 maybe?
Yeah, I would go
50,000?
to the 55.
55, see what that looks like.
And then you bump up the part-time?
Yeah, it's already up.
I would still, we already bumped up, so I think we could leave that there.
Yeah, that's already bumped up, but.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
What else?
We can go down to K-9 expense.
Yep, right here.
As of right now, that's a little uncertain, and I think for now we can take that out of the budget for this next year.
So that's going back to the officer who's moving on to a new employment, happens to be the K-9 officer, so we'll see what happens there, but it may be a change in our K-9 program as a result of that. Or maybe there may be a suspension of the K-9 program for a while anyway, right? Because it's not really practical to transfer the dog to somebody else.
Not right now, no, and you're a year plus into training.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So.
Right, so that'll be a change. So, all right. So keeping that in mind, and that you know, is still a little bit in flux. What else do we?
I don't think tonight's not final anyways, right?
No,
so,
we're just working through. We just want to hear where we're at. So what else? There's nothing else on this sheet that I see that's terribly interesting.
Flat lines. Yeah. Pretty much flatlined everything across there.
We just have a note here on equipment. Some new body cams are needed.
I did bring the from 4,000 to 5,500. The body cams that we have, we purchased almost 7 years ago, and they no longer make those. They're all dying. The batteries only last about 2 hours. So the Governor's Highway program used to fund those through their grant program. Now they cut that completely off. They're not funding body cameras or car cameras. So so I added $1,500 into that. The cameras are about $1,000 a piece. So without going too high on that and trying to buy a few a year to get us back up to, you know, where we need to do. So that's what I did with that.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Dan, can you see that? You want to see over here? Can't talk to
No, we can't, because you guys would be chatting.
You could move ablutions.
Can't separate us.
I can see pretty good out there.
Plenty of room right over here, too.
I followed it. I already see it once.
So this is the bottom section of this. Is this?
SIU COPS grant, government highway safety, it's kind of the grant section, so.
These are still expenses, not revenues, correct?
Well, right, but like, for instance, governor's equipment grant, so it would be here as an expense, but it would also be on the revenue side, because we got $6,000, so we spent it as an expense, but got reimbursed for it. So this year, we don't get the equipment portion of the governor's highway safety, we're only gonna have the op and DUI services, so we had to take that out, but it's a wash because it's not on the revenue side, it's not on the expense side.
We used to get with the Governor's Highway with the equipment grant, they used to, as long as we participated in each one of their campaigns throughout the year, there's specified campaigns, that automatically qualified you for a percentage up to what this was. There's been a lot of changes in that program, and one of the changes that we just got notification of in this new grant period is that we will no longer automatically get that. We will have to apply for equipment grants.
And it's gonna be competitive?
Completely separate, and it will be competitive.
Not everybody gets it, okay.
No.
So we're not gonna count on it?
We felt it was best to take it out and not count on it.
I just have a question about the COPS grant. I thought we had discussed doing, because we can spend that COPS grant, I think, in any amount, any year over the 3 years. And I thought we were gonna have a decreasing, like a stepped decrease down to 0. Are we,
We haven't used any of it yet.
We haven't?
No.
Okay, so that's why.
Because we don't have a new officer yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So we haven't used any of that.
So that's why it's staying about the same?
Right.
Okay, next.
Okay. So.
First year, so.
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
I'm with the program
No,
now.
I was catching up.
Probably putting for an extension one there too, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have to ask for an extension.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you
so-
on that?
We will be. We've got another, because it was 3 years, so we don't have to actually ask for an extension until
Till the end.
the end, and then we ask for an extension to be able to.
And then isn't it even really a 4-year thing, because they're tracking us into the 4th year,
Yeah, in the 4th year.
even though we don't take
So
money?
are we still looking for that officer? Is that where we're at?
Yes. Yeah, I've had some changes there. The one that was offered the position, signed up to take the position, has since rescinded his, just before I went on vacation, has decided not to take the full-time position. So, so we had another one interested. We were working with the COPS grant to make sure that one would fall under the COPS grant and so on. Didn't get notification back from them, and then got the news that I just gave you. I got that Tuesday afternoon, so that person may be able to slip into that position. We're not going to deal with the COPS grant on that individual, and then we'll try to fill that COPS grant again, so.
Okay,
So that's the end of PD.
so that's the end of PD. All right, next.
What's the bottom number there, piece?
2.5%.
Okey-dokey. That's good.
That's good. That's a good
really
number.
good.
That's a really good number.
Okay.
And it could get better,
Okay.
right? I mean, it may.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, essentially.
Essentially, it's going to get better, not worse at this point. The ship has sailed, so.
Okay, so I'm just gonna do this here. So this column right here that I have highlighted right now, when I sent this to the library, those numbers were not correct, and so I had to send it back, but the whole board hasn't been able to see it, so it was literally just this set of numbers right here that were slightly off, so it did change the bottom line. So I know, we have representatives from the library that are gonna present as is, but it hasn't been technically fully approved by the trustees, because they're just gonna have to go back to look at this section and the bottom line change.
And that's what you emailed about that today, I think, right?
Yesterday or today, yeah, something like that. Yes.
I went over all of the figures that the trustees had actually passed, so I revised what Keith had with numbers that the trustees had gone through. And we will have to vote on it, because by law, they have to vote on it.
Right.
I can get this. So, a few things that the library board had done that are different. One is when well, we didn't have the figure for the health insurance on line 15, so that was different from what we had voted, what the trustees had voted on. And I think line 32 postage, we had decreased it to 1,500. And we decided that we would try to raise $5,000 on miscellaneous income on line 55. So it brings it down. You could plug those.
You want miscellaneous income at 5?
Yeah. So yeah, that should be. So the trustees at this point have all seen it, but they haven't voted on it, and we haven't discussed it. Jody, the chair, is out having a good time on vacation somewhere, and so we'll probably have a meeting next week, and it probably will be very perfunctory, because I don't see that there's going to be any real major differences from what we voted.
And those numbers are only slightly different, and mine's 42 to 48.
My treasurer, Daphne Kalmar, is here if you want to ask her, because she can speak for the trustees. I'm only...
Yes.
So I'm just going to comment. So when I received this, I did reach out to Daphne and just asked her to elaborate, which I think she's going to do on lines 8, 9, and 10. Why the difference is higher than the typical 3. So if you want to talk about that, Daphne, please.
Yeah, we had a long discussion with the library board, and it was unanimous. Everyone felt very strongly that it was time for the employees at the library for their salaries to be on par with salaries in the area. We're very, very low. We're way below the state mean, but we're also below the Cabot, Craftsbury, Greensboro salaries. And it seems important to at least be in line with the area. We're nowhere near the state payroll. It's remarkably low, particularly for the clerk, for Diane, the youth librarian, with a degree and very close to getting a library degree. Her pay right now is $14.87 an hour, which for that kind of education and experience is extremely low. Lisa getting $18.94 with decades of experience in a library setting. I think we're not valuing her expertise and what she contributes to the library. The mean in the state for someone with her experience is closer to $30 an hour. And she's nowhere near what librarians in the area are being paid, and she has far more experience than any of them. So it seemed time. I know it seems like a larger jump than one would expect, but I think we have some catching up to do. And the library's budget has come in very conservative for years and years and years, and that's one of the reasons, is the salaries are not commensurate with the dedication and the training and the experience of the employees. The issue with Eric, the clerk's salary looks very dramatic, the increase, and that was an odd fluke of what happened over the course of the year. His salary was voted on. I think he was supposed to get $11.67 an hour, but his pay ended up being $12.01, and the staff decided, the board decided that we would just stick with that since $11.67 was so low. So that's bundled into that raise. And now he's being bumped up to $13 an hour. And he provides tremendous technology assistance, and he's a great employee. And I think in order to keep the extraordinary group that we have working at the library, it's important that we stay at least comparable to neighboring towns. I don't know if you have any other questions. Yeah.
Well, the comparison to Craftsbury, Greensboro, and Cabot, I believe, they all have 3 staff members? Those libraries?
Cabot?
I mean, I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Cabot has a funny situation. They have 1 library director and they have 8 part-time people who are very part-time. It's kind of different, but Greensboro and Craftsbury all have equal amounts of staff.
And the director in Craftsbury gets $20 an hour, and the director in Greensboro gets $20.25 an hour. The youth librarian in Craftsbury gets $16.48 an hour. So it's, I know that the bump of 5.8% seems dramatic, but it's on an extraordinarily penny pinching budget that the library manages to run on. So it's I think the total budget is $116,000. So any bump of a couple of $1,000 drastically increases the percent increase. But in terms of the overall budget of the entire town, it's 0.2%, this increase. So it's less dramatic than it looks.
And that's an $8,000 increase from the actuals of 17-18.
Well, on our revised budget, it's only going to be $6,401.
Over the 18-19 budget. So 2 years.
Oh, in 2 years, right, you're pointing out the 2 years.
Each way up. Each way up.
But if you want to look back at that one, the 17-18 to 18-19 only didn't go up even $2,000, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
They've been coming in under 3% for years and years and years. But pretty close.
Which is our goal as a select board to keep
I understand.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know,
I understand.
When we're holding our police department under 3%, but, I mean, that's all I'm saying. Fair is fair.
You're looking at everything, yeah.
You gotta look at everything.
Yep. But for right now, so this is not when we approve the budget, this is just when we're trying to understand it. We're trying to understand what each department is putting forward as a budget that they think will meet their needs. So, in that light, any more questions for the library folks while they're here?
No, and that's a good explanation. I mean, I understand that they're being underpaid. I agree.
Any more questions? No? Okay. Thank you, guys. And can we move on? What's next? Rec and trails. Do we have a rec representative?
So I have a general question for Casey, and I believe I asked this last year. So for me, the actual 17 and 18 is less important of what the year-to-date is for 18-19.
What are we on? Are you talking about live?
General, across everything. When we look at things, we see the actuals for 17, 18.
Yeah.
Correct.
And we're in 18, 19.
Which is our
Yes,
budget.
we're in 18,
And
19.
I'm more, when I do budgets, I'd rather see a year-to-date on actual, like this year, where are we at?
Well, so I mean,
You see what I'm saying?
I'll have.
Don't change it now, but just in the future, you understand what I'm saying is, because.
I wouldn't want to lose the budget column, though. I can see what you're saying. I would want it as an additional.
In October, I provided the first quarter.
Yeah.
Come the second meeting of January, I'll have it'll be our first 6 months. So it'll be the next quarter update.
So really, we only have 1 quarter now.
Yeah.
We only have 1 quarter to count on, so.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's a good answer, because I do my budget at the 3rd quarter.
Right, so
Of my year, so
come
generally.
January, I'll have another quarterly
So I got 3
update, or
quarters in the
basically
books.
halfway through the year.
Right, so now I understand, yeah. 1 quarter really doesn't give us much.
When something
Thank you.
seasonal.
You're right. Well, again, you know, when you're looking at 3 quarters of the year versus 1 quarter.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
All right.
Good answer, another good answer, Casey.
Okay, so there isn't anybody here from rec, so maybe we could just do trails, because we have representation they may want to
Did you?
scoot out.
Okay, yeah.
I have
Do
notes.
trails and then we'll do, okay, from rec.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have notes, but since we have the ladies here from trails, maybe we could let them go first.
Sure, that's good.
Nice.
Okay, so this is trails. Very nominal change from last year. What would you like to say, ladies? You've got the floor.
Well, there were 2 increases. One, trail construction. And we decided to increase that to reflect more what we were actually spending in the previous year. So that was one suggestion. The other is the gas, oil, and diesel. Currently, in this first quarter, we've already almost spent our budget. We probably should have raised that more, actually, instead of just $100, because what's happening is a lot more people are using the cabin, and we don't want to discourage that, but on one hand, but on the other hand, it's costing money to heat the cabin. And so there's several groups. The hope is that they'll donate some money, but we can't count on that. And also there's the possibility of gas and oil and diesel going up. So, but mostly, and that includes the propane for the cabin.
So one problem with the percentages is, you know, even though this is 5 point something, it's, the dollar amount's $400 and some odd dollars.
$450.
So, I should have mentioned that with the library, even though there's a high percentage, it's only $6,000.
Right.
This is 400.
Right. And so
So you have to look at both. Yeah, I should have said that before they left, so they didn't think I was attacking them, but, I mean, that's kind of, at this meeting is what the mark is we're trying to.
Well, and ideally, if everything came in around 3%, it would all average to 3%, it would be golden.
Right.
But, right, so that is why we look for that. But that's anybody have any questions about items on this budget?
So are you looking to go up on gas, oil, and diesel?
That is.
Well, that, you know.
Well, she said maybe we should go more than.
So do they get that, you buy your stuff from,
I don't know where.
we have diesel, we don't have gasoline.
The propane comes from Irving.
It's through our contract, through town contract,
Yes.
so they're getting the prices we're getting.
Correct.
So you're using your heating fuel is what you're talking about, number 2 heating fuel?
Well, that's what we spent most of on this year. I mean, it's $55 so far this.
It's propane, propane.
For gas.
Propane for the Trails cabin.
But for the Trails cabin, we've already spent.
Yeah, why is it Irving providing the propane?
They would know. Who provides propane?
Irving.
So it's through our contract?
Yes, yes.
So that, okay.
Right. And that's definitely wrong, because you don't use that much with a tractor or, you know, with a groomer.
Yeah, the others are minor.
It's minor.
We don't get executive and deal in propane anyway.
Yeah.
Right, well, we don't.
But you have to use over 500 gallons, I mean, just to get a decent rate.
Yeah, that's.
So that the best rate is through the town.
Yeah, they're getting it up.
We don't use a lot of gas, but after this year, when we put the gas furnaces in, our gas rate will go way down. I think right now it's like $1.98 or something like that.
When we put them in, they're still not in?
No, they're in there. They're sitting on the floor. I mean, this guy's been really good. He's done a lot of work. He's winterized the townhouse.
I know.
I mean, he's only one person.
I know, but it's.
He's putting a new furnace in the library.
And he put a new oil tank in there the other day. Did a service call at the library.
I don't care. I'm not the one that's working on the cold.
No, he provided. He provided a brand new heater over there for them to use. So I asked the guys how it was going. He said it was fine.
Okay, good.
No, they're lying.
So are you saying we don't need to add because we may end up?
No, I don't know if you want to play that game or not.
I don't know. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people using the cabin now.
Right.
Didn't previously use it, and so the propane, which is a good thing. We want people to use the Trails in the cabins.
I don't think it's a bad idea to see whether or not they'll pass the.
Pass the
hat a little.
Yeah, there's a group using it this fall making wreaths from the school, and they haven't mentioned it to us, but in their publicity about their wreath making, they did say that they would be making a donation to the Hardwick Trails, so that may cover that usage, because that's been the majority of our use.
Yeah.
All right, more questions for the Trails folks?
Good.
Sean?
I'm allowed to ask a question.
You are. Thank you for raising your hand.
The lines 36, 37, and 38, I don't see any change there on the workers' comp unemployment liability.
Catch. to
I don't
change?
know.
I do not change them. Well, I don't have the final numbers anyway, but because like unemployment was really consistent and the workers' comp was, they've been pretty
Already
consistent,
higher.
so I kept them. Yeah, I mean, I could probably go up.
Does it change
to
with, are
that,
those individual
maybe.
to departments?
Yeah, they
are.
change based on their exposure rate.
And is this considered its own department?
They will look at, they look more at the job. They look at the job.
Right.
As
Workers'
opposed,
comp.
even librarians have a higher rate now because librarians actually get into active things outside and their workers' comp
Yeah.
claims numbers have gone up. So so they actually include librarian staff as parks and librarian staff. You guys are causing a lot of trouble.
So salaries, Wayne?
Yes.
Wayne's salaries?
Yeah.
So he's an official employee
Yeah.
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 and has to be for, just like everything.
And I think because the workers' comp is already kind of higher than what it was, if it goes up, you can absorb most of it there then, but you'll know the final numbers in a few weeks anyway, probably.
It came in my email today, but I.
Before
Oh,
the
so
final.
you'll have them to,
Yeah.
okay.
Before the final, we'll have final numbers.
And I'll have all of it, and we came today tomorrow. You're
Awesome.
that, I've got to look at it tomorrow, so.
There we go.
That's just one employee there, is that right?
Yeah, well,
It's one employee?
Part-time.
yeah, very part-time.
That's why there isn't an increase, it's not like the other departments where there's multiple employees.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
And part of it, so we do a lot of volunteer, and then we have one
Yeah.
very part-time employee, and most of the work on the trails is volunteer.
One voluntold.
He's a good employee though.
He's voluntold to be an employee. Go do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on. Let's do rec with whatever we know about rec.
Track it. Salary's going down.
Salary's going down.
I like that. That's the right direction.
Well, what's the story though?
Overall, it's 2.11.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the notes that I got from Rec, excuse me. So she used 6 hours per week for budgeting based on kind of what she's been doing. Under holiday programs, they had a bump up there, and they're looking to do a holiday party in December, a St. Patrick's Day dance in March, Easter egg hunt in March, April, and said they wanted to continue to improve upon the events and anticipate higher participation.
How about a trunk or treat in October?
Right,
Maybe.
seriously.
Yeah. Senior programming, $200 for the Bone Builders program, and they want to do 4 $500 programs / events per year. That's where that increase came from.
What is that program?
Bone builders.
Oh.
I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
it's a
not sure
good-
what that is.
It's like it's a
Exercise.
low impact exercise, but get enough exercise that's supposed to help stimulate bone growth and helps keep you
Oh,
agile.
Kathleen does?
Kathleen does.
That's a good program.
It's a good program.
My grandmother did that in her 90s.
Really?
Yeah, with her.
Yeah.
So that's where the $2,200 was,
that's
$200
cool.
for that, and then
Like 94.
4 $500 events during the year is the goal. Supplies and advertising, they increased because they wanted to up their advertising for those additional senior programs and holiday events in the hopes of, bringing up the participation. Training, they have an increase on here. I know Suzanne attended one recently, but there's some VRPA workshops, Vermont Recreation something, I would guess, in Fairleigh, and those cost $220 and $60 respectively. Maintenance, they already went over budget on that because of the portable toilet at Macville, which is gonna have to come out of this budget, so they did $300 for the toilet and $100 for other maintenance, such as Macville or the ice rink, so a total of $400 for that category. And then sports programming, looks like they're going down on, she didn't have a comment on that, but, so there's that. However, Recreation does have a request, a capital request from the board for $5,000 for matching grant funds to purchase the playground equipment for Hodgson's Field.
Negative.
What happened?
So,
They're not even here, and we gave them $5,000 last year.
That was my
And I
question.
worked my butt off to get them a grant, and they don't even show
no,
up.
I'm just gonna go here.
So I talked to Suzanne this week, and she took the check and said that they were going to be doing some work. Was it this week? It was Monday, right? She was gonna be doing some work over there on the rink, and I said, this is the same time they put the rink in last year, is this week. And they were gonna be doing that, working on it this weekend. Sunday, and they would probably do the whole picture thing of the rink and with the check sort of thing at that point. Otherwise, that's all I know is going on.
But what, I mean, to Danny's point about the capital that we threw in there last year, do we know anything?
Yes, right here. I have, so
It's still there?
we did do 5,000. This is in yellow because that was the proposed that they're asking for, so we did allocate.
But do you know if they've spent any of that?
No, they haven't.
No, we have not. None has been spent.
They should not have.
So
Doesn't look like they have.
I think we'd want to know more about that and what the plan is,
I think she should
right?
allocate 2 or 6 hours at the next select board meeting coming here.
Well, so it would be, in my mind, so they got 9,000, so the match must be 9,000, so essentially they wouldn't need 5, they would need 4, but that's still, I mean.
But what are their fundraising activities?
I don't know any of that, so I'm sorry.
So it'd be good to talk to someone before we do that.
Yeah, and I just put it in there as a perspective because this capital thing changes immensely, as we know, because of the Cary Road property. So if you look at this compared to that and that, it's a big difference. So
Holy macaroni.
I'm just, because we put in 30,000 for the Cary Road property for tearing that down. So then if you add this 4, we're now at 143 on this capital general fund, so.
We didn't add that 4, did we?
No, I just put in there in yellow as just as a reminder that that's what they're asking for. It's just.
I'm disappointed when people ask for things and we go out of our way to give it to them and they don't follow through. And then they want more and don't even show up.
Are you thinking about
it's not going well. Well, we'll get to that.
Okay, so this is what Recreation has proposed. As you can see, $500 difference there, but they were asking for 5,000 for capital. So that's all the notes and information that I have. That's
Their budget looks, I'm fine with their budget.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to hear from them a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'd like to hear a little more information about what's happening.
So we should reach out to them somehow.
Well, I mean, I
we did reach out to them, but
I let them know what time the meeting was and stuff, so, yeah.
All right. And so if anybody from Rec is watching, or if anybody in the office talks to someone from Rec, I think it's worth communicating that at least the general sentiment that I'm hearing from this board is that it's unlikely that we're going to be adding money to the capital for them if we don't hear from them and like more about what they want to do with it.
And why they haven't spent what we gave them last year.
All of the above.
Okay. And office and, are we ready to move on?
We're ready to move on, yes, please.
To office and payroll, okay. All right, is that too small? You want me to go one bigger there?
That's nice.
Okay, all right. Okay, so Alberta sent you guys an email. So the town clerks, it was basically that Tanya's gonna go to 40 hours from 35, effective July 1st, 19. She had mentioned in that email that she was hired for 35 with the, I don't know, the plan that she would go to 40, so that's where that number's coming from, is that she will increase to 40 hours, and then their regular.
Work, do we know?
32?
She said 34.5.
69 for 2 weeks.
Right, 34.
34.
Yeah, 34 and a half.
Huh.
So the problem I got is if Aaron decides to hire a new officer and he offers him 5 more hours and more money in June, and then comes to us and wants, you know, a budget that sustains that.
Yeah, did we know this when Tanya was hired?
No.
No, I certainly
We were not.
I don't know.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know if that was something that
She's not worth it, but.
Alberta negotiated with her in the beginning. I don't know, I'm sorry, I wasn't here at that
She
point,
didn't
but.
talk with us about it.
Part of it.
So this is one of those areas where.
Disconnect between.
It's a little bit of a disconnect, because the town clerk's an elected official who runs the town clerk's office, is empowered by statute to hire an assistant. This body sets the budget that we want and really kind of controls the purse strings, and then we take this budget to the voters for approval, but really, you know, we do the budget, so it'd be great to work a little more closely, I think, in future. I know.
Being very polite.
I know I'm not, you know, it's not, you guys are not the intended audience for this, but just, I guess I'll try to express that to the town clerk, and that it would be better to work more closely in the future, because we are the ones who are grappling with the budget.
The other thing is that the number in the email from Alberta was not 8,500.
100, the difference?
At the top, yeah.
Well, right.
The difference was, her number was 12,000.
Increases and her increased hours. It's two things there.
Oh, in her email, it was both of them, so it was, well, it's 14.
No, it's still gonna be that.
So between.
Right, the 8 is the difference.
Right here.
For both. Oh.
That's regular salary, 3% salary increase, and her additional hours. That's what that number represents.
Right, but the one in Alberta's email, that number was 12,000. So that's all I'm saying.
I don't remember it being. I sent this to her, and she was.
She said that's what she wanted.
These numbers.
All right, so that being what it is for now, what else? Tell us about other changes here. We have a health insurance change. I assume it's just changes in coverage.
Changes in plans, increases, a new stipend that wasn't there before, that sort of thing. So yeah, it could be a lot worse, so yes, but it's health, that's really what it is.
Okay, retirement is what it is, yada yada. Keep going down, please.
Not many changes. The 3 here.
Oh, we're cutting Kristen's supplies.
Based on what was spent, 1,300. We went down a little, yes.
Listers, are listers in this? Sorry.
Yes, right here. So we're gonna get there.
Supplies.
So Lister supplies, the bulk of that is the Patriot annual fee, the software.
Okay.
Which I feel is like $2,700 or something like that. So I previously had a question mark here whether or not if we move forward with the assessor position would this change, but in reality if we stick with Patriot it's really not going to.
Right.
So so I went with 3 just because with Patriot being $2,700 that still gives us a little bit of leeway because we won't necessarily have the listers if we go that route, you know, needing such supplies here in the office. And education and training, as you know, there's been a lot of personnel changes in this office. I can tell you already that we went over. We have a new manager coming in. I'm new. Amanda and I are cross-training, and I mean we can play around with that, but we've already went over the $500 because Nemrick had to come and spend a couple days with me. That was not inexpensive. And so, you know, we're probably already around.
But that's also an expense that we likely won't need next year. Well,
no, I mean, we could go down on it some, but I mean.
I think it's more important to spend the money now.
I think it's important to spend money on training staff when necessary because, I mean, our biggest expense is
500 just isn't enough, and I'm just thinking we've already spent 1,500. So, I mean, we could go down on that some, but I don't think we want to neglect it because we have a new town manager coming in. I'm still new.
We leave that for now.
Okay. So
trained staff can get more expensive.
So
and untrained staff can get more expensive.
So I'm not sure where this comes from. But to back up, Alberta's email says in the town clerk's office payroll line, you see proposed budget increase of $12,993. This is attributed to 2 factors, and she references Tanya's situation. So it doesn't matter, but that's $5,000 difference. So.
Was she including that? Was that increase? Oh, no, that wouldn't have been.
I have no idea.
I feel quite confident that my number is accurate.
Good.
That's fine.
We like your number better anyway.
Yeah, I like your number a lot better. I'm just wondering where her number came from.
So I'd be happy to look at it tomorrow. I'd have to run the calculations,
no,
but I feel very confident that my
Just
number's
so we're on,
accurate.
I mean, yeah, we like this number, but I just want to make sure that there isn't.
And I'm pretty sure that
Better than
this
12.
this one she had seen and agreed with that, so maybe, yeah. Okay.
So I guess I'm just gonna say this, that, in an office situation where everybody is trying to toe the line and keep this around 3%, to have an 11% increase all in 1 year in the town clerks it's a fair, it has an impact.
Yeah.
And I think that when we get to the end, maybe that's something we may need to revisit.
I'm not sure how.
And the fact that it comes as a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I guess I also am curious, what, you know, if you know, again, to go back to when we're gonna expand the police department or some other department and we're adding staff or we're adding hours, typically we have a discussion about why that's happening.
Why it's necessary.
Why it's necessary, what are we gonna get for it, because what are the taxpayers gonna get out of it? So in this case, I think we probably need to have that same discussion. If we've historically had about a 35-hour position as the assistant town clerk, and Alberta's saying that Tanya's doing great. I mean, my interactions with her have all been great. So why, what is it, what is it that?
The additional
Why do we
Exactly.
need two 40-hour-a-week positions?
What isn't getting done?
What isn't get, what else do we need to do? Is it, yeah, we just need to understand why we need that.
Absolutely.
And again, here I am looking at you guys, but
Well,
I'm really.
it's a discussion that needs, would need to be had between you guys and her then, probably.
And it would be great to have it in an open meeting.
Okay.
Like this.
Okay. All right, so that's the first section. This section here, I have this in yellow because this is Lister's salary. What's this gonna look like if we do the assessor position? I don't know how we're gonna.
Don't we? Because we had two, I mean, without getting into
There are
contracts.
two bids about $8,000 apart.
Yeah.
It just depends on who wants to hire who. I mean, one person.
But they're both more than.
Right, but they're not.
We were gonna
Take some from the reappraisal fund.
We have a reappraisal fund that the state adds money to every year, and technically, if you have a really good assessor, you may not have to go for a reappraisal quite as often. I know there's a couple other towns have told me they haven't had to go for one for a long time because they're on top of it.
Professional assessor there.
Right, but then other people argue that you still should go, so it all depends. But the thing is, we can use some money out of that reappraisal fund and help soften the blow in the budget, so we can increase it over time. Yeah.
Right, eventually we're gonna have to fund that position.
Entirely.
So that's why I'm just saying, I just didn't know.
So you just threw a number at it. Close enough.
12,296 is what we spent in 17 to 18. I went with 12,000. That's because we don't, like I said,
And
we're
so
just.
also out of
We
that.
should have never gone down in the budget in the first place to 9.
Right.
Right. And also, we're gonna still have a stipend or something for the.
For the listers. Yeah.
Probably something similar to what the select board has, I would say.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, they're not meeting.
Right, because you still have to have the lister position.
Similar to the solid waste district.
Yeah.
Which is a big fat zero.
$500.
Well, it's on the line, but. we don't
All right,
actually spend it
so what else do we have in here that's of interest?
It's rolled over.
Not much. I kind of went.
Showing an actual, they paid somebody $500. You got burned.
On what?
Solid waste.
Solid waste.
I don't even know what that is,
I
but
wonder where
it's
that's
in here.
Yeah, I was at a meeting last night till 9 o'clock.
Okay, I don't know what that is, so. Okay.
I told John earlier, I want a forensic audit, because I never got paid when I was doing
We're
it.
supposed to split that half and half, you know.
Yeah. I pick out.
Anyway.
Okay, so this is.
So we gotta figure out before budget time what we're gonna do, is that what I'm hearing?
For which, the lister?
Well, assessor, lister situation, we need to figure it out anyway.
We need to figure it out soon. Thank you guys for coming.
I know this has been fun.
It is, it's interesting.
Not interesting enough to stay, though.
So, yeah, the whole Lister thing, so the current listers want to think, they are putting together list, being listers, of things that they think that going forward, the listers could still continue to do in a reasonable fashion. So that they're thinking that maybe if they could put together this list, if there are things that they can do easily, that they would save the town money by them doing them versus adding that to the tasks.
I thought they didn't want to be listers anymore.
They don't. But they would.
Why would they do stuff?
And more importantly, if we're going to make the transition, why do we want to have any of that? You know, we're still going to be dealing with, when they get done doing what they're doing, we still have nowhere to do it. Or it's an expectation to find another lister
who's doing those things.
I think the listers need to be clearly an oversight. You know, we got to go one or the other. I don't think we want both.
One of the gentlemen who had proposed said that, I said, you know, we were thinking about having some listers hang on to be the liaison between you and the property owners, and he said, I already do Newport, and I don't have that issue at all. I can do that all myself. I don't need to have anybody helping me do that. So I thought that was kind of a nice gung-ho sort of way of approaching it. I think he told me he had over 2,200 properties or something he deals with up there. So, I think I'm leaning towards what Danny's saying. Is that
Lucian wanted to chime in.
No, I was going to just talk about the same topic.
Well, I think if we're going to make the split, we need to make it so it's good forever.
Whatever we do, we have to define the role of the listers.
Right.
Going forward.
If you continue to have
a list is a great place to start, and then we can figure out, because we do have to have listers by.
No, you don't necessarily have to have them. We can do a change in our. You can't eliminate the listers.
You can if you change the charter.
That's what I was saying.
But the way, if we go with a model where we still elect listers, because we could still elect listers, but the lister salary line could go to 0, which would basically mean we don't expect them to do anything.
Right. It'd be long.
But what if your listers decide they want to do something?
On a volunteer basis?
Viewers and...
There's a lot of things involved in, you have qualified listers in there now.
Yes.
Say for instance, they disappear and you still appoint somebody at town meeting says, I'll do it.
Right.
And they decide they want to go in and start using the software. How many mistakes do you think they could make in the grand?
Right, I'm wondering how, exactly, I think we need to define them and make it so that's, I agree, John.
Holy cow.
What are the powers of the listers?
I've been here 8 years and it's the first time he's ever agreed with me on anything.
So I think...
are the listers going to be able to overrule the assessor that we're paying a professional assessor? Right.
I just think you need to talk to the listers about it.
Yep.
About their moving on.
Yep.
And who would replace them, because they already have high concerns about that.
Yep.
But the thing is, sometimes they go down the street both ways, and I'm like, you know, you can have high concerns, but you don't, but we can't have listers exist if we can't find qualified people to do the work.
Right.
And that's the main problem we've had. And a non-qualified person getting into that software can make a mess.
Quickly.
But it seems unlikely that they would come in and insist on getting into it.
But you don't know. This is it. We're dealing with something that we may not be here.
You're talking about rational people that are mentally healthy.
Right. Let's think about our past lister experiences.
So
recent past lister experiences. I don't want to have to name.
Oh yeah. I hear where you're going, but okay, I just want to go back to the
your argument is not very good from where you're coming from.
The responsibilities of the listers, I think, John, it comes back to we would have to change the charter, because I believe the responsibilities of the listers are outlined in statute, and it's not something that we just make a list of.
We may not be able to do this without changing the charter.
Correct. So we definitely can in the short run.
You got 2 weeks, brother. Get on it.
No.
I got somebody who's a lot better writer than me. They can do that.
But in the short run, we can make the change, because the current listers, we can work with them. We can say, this is the plan. Will you stay on
transition into it?
Right. Because I don't think we want to create a situation where the assessor is looked at as the assistant lister and the lister slave. to do all the work.
I have a feeling neither one of those people.
Well, not the two we have, no, but you know, we got very fortunate to have Jan and Jean do what they've done as a public service for as many years as they have.
For sure.
No way in heaven are we ever gonna get two more individuals that are gonna do it for 25 years.
Right.
And do it fairly and equitably like they have. It just isn't gonna, I mean, it won't happen. We know that. We've been trying to get listeners for 8 years. Well, longer than that, really. I mean, we've been talking about it. It's probably Mark Delarice was a lister for a long time after he didn't really want to be anymore.
Right, that's true.
You know, so, yeah, it's an issue.
Doug, you have a question?
My question is you're saying it's either or between listers or assessor. At what point do you have to make a decision which one you're going to go with? I mean, is there going to be a time where you absolutely, because it seems like it's been going on for a long time where it's, we might do listers, we might not do listers. We're going to hire an assessor.
We're gonna hire an assessor.
Decided to hire an assessor.
And then what we do is pay the listers a stipend, which would limit the amount of hours they would be spending doing the work. They just do some crucial assistance.
What's happened is over time, we've tried, over the course of several years, we've tried to find listers who wanted to serve in that capacity. And we have so far come up with exactly one, and one is not enough.
Right.
So
we've worked hard.
It's time to, the two that have been in it, so we brought on the third, but that one person staying on isn't gonna cut. So we decided, you know, with the two experienced ones retiring, that we're gonna move to an assessor model. It's just a question of the mechanics of how we get there.
Right, so is that budgeted, is that what the 12,000 is, that would go to the assessor instead of the listers, or?
So that's a step in that direction, and then what we're going to do is over time, because the assessor will cost more, it's not hugely more, but it's more, and so what we'll do is we'll spend some money from our reappraisal fund to buffer the difference while we ratchet this up over the course of, I don't know, maybe 3 years or something.
3 years probably.
Just to kind of soften the blow. So that's the plan. All right, so
You should think about, though, maybe in the next few meetings, assigning like maybe a couple of select board members to work with the listers and the town manager, to start meeting with the listers to find out how you're going to proceed and who you're going to pick as your assessor.
To actually start moving this forward.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'll do it. Sherry will do it.
Yeah?
The Wiz will do it. Eric will do it. Somebody will do it. Lucian will do it.
Lucian will do it.
Lucian will do it.
Lucian will like too, huh, Lucian? Woohoo! All right.
So, unless one of you...
He's gonna be, yeah, he's in it.
He could probably.
Would someone else like to do that besides me? I got plenty to do.
Lucian said.
Yeah.
Just sitting
I mean,
two.
so Lucian and who? You?
I'll do it.
Lucian and Wiz?
You're nothing out, or you?
Yeah,
He's trying.
I'm trying.
That was a feint. He was like, I'll do it if no one does, but then.
Hey, I was gonna volunteer too.
Well, I agree it needs to be done, and that's really what it needs. We just need to butt it forward a little bit.
So that's
Thank you,
great.
Doug, for Pope. Get us going.
So, Lucian and Wiz are on the lister.
Task force.
Oh, I love
Lister
the sounds of that.
task force with Sean after January the 7th.
Sean and the two listers, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
So we only have two now? I thought.
No, we have three.
Three. Caitlin.
Yeah, we have three. Caitlin's here too.
And our task is to develop a transition plan.
Correct.
Okay.
And actually, your task is going to be to pick who's going to be your assessor.
Right, because we already
That too.
have.
We have the proposals.
The proposals are in, I have them in a file down there, there's about $8,000 difference between the two.
They can work
You
it
just
out.
have to pick who you want.
There you go. And make a recommendation to the board. And away we go.
Done.
And I think it would be really good for you,
Lovely.
aside from just talking with the listers about who you want to have, you should
Yeah, I
also
think
talk
it needs
with
to be a
the
broader conversation.
Town clerk.
and talk with the town clerk could actually be on the team.
Yeah.
The town clerk and I think the zoning administrator also is in the same office, so she kind of knows what's going on too. So it'd be good just to get some background information from them.
Yeah, I got out just in time.
Well, 40-hour-a-week jobs, we can free up.
No, I agree. All those folks have a role to play in that.
All right, so Are those all the budgets we're looking at for tonight?
Yes, that's
All right.
pretty much the end.
Can I ask if the 12,000 would that be enough if we wanted the top number of those bids?
No, we're gonna pull money out of the
Yeah, it would be this.
reappraisal fund.
Like
Yeah.
the lister's salary reallocated plus some of the reappraisal fund, yes.
Yes, that would be the goal. We wouldn't have to do that. I mean, if it turns out we get to the end of budget process and it looks like we're sitting pretty, which we're not, but if it did, then, you know, we could come back and wait that.
You're right, eventually it's gonna have to all be in there.
It'd look
Yeah.
a lot better if that
We're
12
gonna have to
could be
bite the bullet,
zero.
and it's gonna have to be in this budget, but maybe not
But the
this
flip
year.
side of that is if it has to be less, then we have a mechanism to make it less this year.
Correct.
Spread it out over 3 years.
But it's gonna come bite us, so we need to not.
Right, not be too foolish, right. But we're good about that.
All right, so,
We get that.
thank you.
So at this point, we have been through all the departments.
Excellent.
The last,
So do you have a big sheet?
Yeah, let's go to the top sheet then, or not, I don't really like the top sheet.
are you
the
ready
next one. I
for
don't
the
like that
tax
one.
rate one?
No, I wanna do the budget summary one.
Okay.
That's the real one.
Oh, I gotta make it smaller,
There's a
sorry.
lot of voodoo that goes into the tax
Yeah,
rate.
the tax rate one's got the,
Got the
what do
voodoo.
they call, there's some extrapolation of those numbers.
Yeah, there is. And it doesn't always come out.
No, I do not like extrapolated numbers.
What we want to look at is this is the budget. So what's happening in the budget, we're showing a 5.73% increase in the budget. What are we showing in the revenue side? A bump. So total budget, revenues only went up. Why are the revenues so piddly? They need to have a bigger bump.
It's because of the, probably because of the
Well,
grand list.
the highway safety was 6 grand. The other part was this pilot funds,
Oh, that had money in there that we weren't actually getting.
yeah, we can really only count on HED.
Yeah.
We can't count on the other one that was just a random donation, so that took away like, well, $8,700, yeah.
Yeah, that had been put in, it was a 5,000, we normally get 5,000, that was put in for a $10,000 revenue, I have no idea why.
Delinquent charges, I went based on what we actually got in 17 to 18, so there's 5 grand there. Whoops, I scrolled a little bit too much. The COPS grant, is just a percentage of the expenses because of the match. Dog licenses, I went with we only took in 2,100, so why we were not gonna budget 3,300.
Right.
Same, like ticket revenue, I went more consistent with what we actually had. So, Aaron,
the way it
get those guys to give out some more tickets.
We do it for highway safety.
Just the way it is.
A couple of the losses were in the revenues from the police department, but the police department's budget was also only had a 2% increase, so that's the department doing its job. And we've always talked about Aaron's budget is a little bit different than others because he brings something to the table on the revenue side. He's just bringing less.
Well, I mean, we do that in the highway too.
Right, but you know, it's not, hopefully that's not less too.
No,
I'm
there's a
interested.
lot of grant money that comes in on the
So
highway
where,
side too.
on our expenses, where do we get to that 5 or 6% increase over revenues? What are our big increases over here, right here?
Oh, by department. Highway.
Highway, a lot of that was, the salt was a big one.
Right.
If you want me to go back to highway.
Health insurance was a big one too.
Salt and health insurance, because we had an employee that, we had like a part-time, went to a full-time family plan, so.
I mean, I
And,
guess my point is, these are costs that we really just gotta,
A lot of them are pretty much fixed.
what are you gonna do about it? You can't do anything about it. Salt goes up, salt goes up.
Well, what you can do about it is you can cut the budget anyway, and then it's gonna come back and bite you in a couple of years.
Next year, yeah. No, I agree.
I think,
So, wait, can you go up just a little bit so I can see those total revenues, total budget? So revenues we're only projecting to go up 17,000 while our total budget's going up 183,000. So then that makes the amount that we need to raise by property tax go up 166,000, correct? So that's a 7, and then,
that's before appropriations too.
well, it's always before
Yeah,
appropriations.
okay.
Appropriations don't matter in this town.
No, they're a sideshow.
Yeah, that's well put, Eric.
So, do we have any reason to be optimistic about the grand list?
No.
We don't, okay. Nothing big.
You gotta have something being built, right, in order to change that.
If the Yellow Barn project came through, that would contribute some.
2027, we'll use that.
2021.
I'll go.
2020, 2021 would be on the list.
2021 should be paying pilot money.
If we move ahead with it.
I wasn't here for the last meeting, but have you gone over the capital budget yet?
I don't know if you missed one.
Yep, we did do those, yes.
So, there may be some changes in that as well.
Oh, there could be.
Okay, that will help us?
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
So we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're never there this time of year. You should have to have a couple more.
That's
meetings.
under,
One more meeting
can
anyway.
you scroll down just a little bit? Those are under, that's line item? No, what is, yeah, line items, right?
Capital?
Yep. Does capital come out of line items?
Down some more, right.
Or not? Fire. Line items.
Yes,
Yep.
right here, capital, right here, these ones, yep.
And those are fairly major drivers for us.
Yeah.
30,000 is the Cary Road.
Yes, that's correct.
It's a Cary Road property. Is there a way, so just think if we get to where we're looking for.
Why would we not start sinking economic development money into that property now, John? Why would we not be sinking some sort of economic development money or something into the Cary Road property sooner than
I
later?
think we just haven't had the bandwidth to take it on.
Right, but I mean, is that an option? Maybe we wouldn't have to put that 30 grand in this budget if we just rolled it over and look for some sort of something. I don't know what, I'll tell you.
The town could do a loan on the money, and then as you sell the property, you could pay it back. Because you don't want to deplete your fund.
No, and we got, yeah.
The town could loan it to themselves.
But I also don't, you know, we know we're having a tough budget year. I don't want to throw $30,000 into it if we can figure out a different way.
Or if we could spread that out over 3
spread it
years,
out
or.
Like you could do a balloon payment 3 years with interest, and you can, when you, if you do develop that property, and you start selling off pieces of property, just the first sale will pay it off.
Well, yeah, it's got to be invested. It's no different, honestly, than what we did with the flood zone building.
Right.
I mean, we basically are controlling that to try to get the best outcome from a piece of real estate in town. It's the same thing here. We don't want to lose that piece of real estate foolishly.
Right.
And we have some obligation to deal with the mess we have.
Yeah.
But if we could figure, I guess, we basically need to hold that. We're just trying to hold it and improve that property to the point where someone can, it's valuable to somebody.
We need to come up with a plan.
Well, there's 7 acres there, so you could almost do seven lots.
Right, you could do a lot.
So,
and it's not water and sewer. But the other thing is, I just want to say is that if we were talking about changing the economic development loan policy so that the town can borrow money from it. The town can borrow money from it and do a real loan with the paperwork and do a balloon payment and their plan to develop that property, have that property able to be sold, or at least part of it within 3 years, and you pay that loan off, and your fund would not be depleted.
Sold or leased, or if we talk about creating an NVDA, nonprofit, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll do something with it, but we need to hold it it'd be nice to be able to do that without a tax increase.
So does that, right, and that's a mechanism to do it. Does that building that's there now have to come down next year?
It needs to be secured, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs to come down next year. I'm more concerned with cleaning up everything around it and getting rid of the double wide.
Yeah, the double wide really can't go anywhere right now because they owe last year's taxes and this year's taxes, so you don't really want it to disappear. You can't leave the town.
No, but so let's say scenario, I'm feeling bad about us having to leave it on town property. It's kind of holding us up. What if they don't pay that? What if they play this delinquent tax game for the next 10 years?
Well, if they don't pay the delinquent taxes on that, we'll put it up for tax sale and we have it right there in front of us and we can get rid of it. If it goes somewhere else, it's going to be loaded with their stuff.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
it's
I
on somebody
understand
else's
it.
property. I think it's cleaner to deal with that. Let's see if they pay it off. I'm not sure how much is owed for the next, on these two taxes, but it's gonna be around $5,000.
So, and that's the end of it? They're not being taxed on that sitting there on our land any longer?
Yeah, they are.
So that's my point, is what if they just keep playing the delinquent's tax game? The 1 year behind game where...
Well, they can't live in it. How long are they gonna let it sit there? I mean, why would you be paying that money and not living in it?
I don't know. Why are they doing that now?
Because I don't think they have any money.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. They can't pay the delinquent taxes.
Or if they can, maybe.
It's too bad, there's a whole bunch of too bad there, because it's too bad that it isn't being utilized by someone. It's a brand new home.
Well, I was kind of amazed that they were able to pay off what was owed on it, because we have to, before we could do anything with it, we would have to wait probably 3 years anyway. Let the whole probate situation settle. So if it's there, we know where it is. Do whatever you want with it. I'm just thinking from my own point of view that if it's there, we know where it is. If they owe two years worth of taxes on it, and we put it up for tax sale, we know nobody's using it or damaging it.
Right. So, but about the other house that we put in $30,000 to get rid of, could we redo? I mean, if we said that could last for another year, I'd be much more in favor of putting in 15 and this year and 15 next, or even 10 this year and 10. But that stretches out to the third year.
I think our discussion or at least as I remember, I would like to see us get it to the point where it was marketable. So right now, it's not a very marketable piece of property. If you have someone come around and what's there, what's existing there, the way it's laid out, you can't get around it, there's dump pile up on the hill, it's just not attractive. That's my concern, I guess.
Yeah, and I think but even if it were marketable, we wouldn't really be able to move right now, right? Because we're still in this waiting period.
Right.
So we wouldn't be, but we should be moving in that direction. My bigger concern there is what's our plan?
Yeah.
Like, is the plan because I think that we want to use this for some sort of economic development, some sort of business park, industrial park, something like that. But we should figure out what that looks like. Does that look like the town puts in a road and extends water, sewer, and power?
Right.
And says, here we go, come, here are some lots. Yes, John?
Also, as we go forward and how successful we are with the Yellow Barn, I believe we can go for USDA community facilities money and probably maybe we could get a low interest loan, but we could also get probably another $150,000 grant.
Yeah.
And then you could even look at doing essential infrastructure like water and sewer, a road, clean that place up and get funding to do that.
Whatever you need, So you think that we come into the point where we might be a little bit hasty putting money in our budget this year? That 30 grand?
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Put 10 in this year.
Right, because it's always going to be helpful for us to have some money in there. I mean, I think as we've seen in the Yellow Barn project, there have been places where just to step forward, if you had 5 or 10 grand, that would allow you to unlock another 60 grand over.
Because that's your match.
Right.
And so it's never going to hurt us to have 5 or 10 grand in there, but that would be a lot smaller lump sum right now than 30.
I agree.
So I just was playing around with this, so I took out the 30, and that's what it did to the bottom, to that it changed it to 4.79. Yeah, I took it to 0 originally, but I'll go back and see if we go.
Put 10 in.
Or, yeah. So
well, I'll put 15. Oh, whoops.
Put 119.
Brings it to 5.
That was a lot better.
That's still better.
Well, yeah, it's $20,000 better.
And then...
I'm not an accountant, but...
And the budget's made
but you play one on TV right now.
I slept in one once, so that
counts. As we move forward with those changes in the police department, we may see some savings in the capital too.
Yeah.
Some more additional savings.
We're working in the right direction.
Right. And we're not that far off. I mean, a lot of, like we were saying before, a lot of these things that are driving increases are things
we're not going to change.
We don't have the appetite to go cut them.
No, I agree.
So we're not there, but we're still, Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think
What do you think,
And
Doug?
now
We're
we at
getting
least
there. Right, Doug? We're getting there.
You good with it, Doug?
Yeah.
All right.
So,
You pay taxes in Hardwick?
I own property here.
The answer's no then?
Sean, what do
Well, he
you,
rents.
any comments on
So,
our
yeah.
budgeting process or not yet?
Just, what I heard is you're kind of trying to get toward 3%, so you're trying to whittle it
Yeah.
down at this point. Just keep trying to work through your numbers and finalize, so that's the best you
We've
can do.
been fortunate to work beyond that number, as long as it's
For 8 years.
for 8 years.
So John put together a short presentation for us one year showing our budget over time,
I still have it.
our percentage increases that we'd done to the budget. And what it showed basically was if we went a couple years with a really low increase, 1 or 2 years where we kept it really low, then all of a sudden it catches you and you got a 5 or 6 or 7%.
Third, fourth year, you had a double-digit increase.
Whereas if we can keep it near 3%, we can kind of stay steady Freddy, and it doesn't rock the boat very much.
Well, the discussion on doing an investment now, on this, like the house projects and trying to get something in there for the good of the community, that's gonna pay a return.
It is, so that's the other
Starting to see
side.
it now, it will pay a return, it's a good way to go.
Right, so we do want to invest in that because it will pay a return,
Right.
but on the other hand, do we have to invest a lot right now? Maybe
Well,
not.
insurances and workers' comp and things like that, you don't have any control over that, and that's probably a substantial part of these increases you're seeing,
Yep,
in health insurance in particular. That's impacted many places.
yeah, although it didn't.
We had a small increase, only 3% increase.
A couple years ago.
A couple years ago it was huge.
Staff changes have.
Staff changes was this year, was more than anything, and that'll occur.
Yeah. You just.
It was a few years, 5 years ago, remember, passive, all our buildings went up, remember that year, it was.
Right, but as I think I mentioned at the last meeting, we were told that we could probably see about a 20% decrease in the buildings because we have a claim that's coming off after so many years. I don't know what it is, but I'll see that number once I look at that email and see what our rates are for next year. Then I'll be able to plug those in and that may help us too.
And we'll revisit next
You
time.
figured out this team's better than that team, didn't you?
All right, so unless anybody else has questions, I'd like to just roll on to the next. Yeah, you guys good? All right.
That wasn't bad at all.
Okay, so thank you very much for driving us through that, Casey. Next up is Select Board to review and consider approval of changes of the Hardwick personnel guidelines relating to donation and sick time. And basically, John had gone back and felt that there were just a couple kind of putting some more parameters around how the
Sick leave
regulations
donations.
for how to donate sick leave to another employee. And he felt it was a little too loose.
So the one, mine's in red, but it just, you can see it's the.
So everything's in there except for what's underlined is what we're adding, correct?
Everything, the underlying stuff is what we're adding.
Is new.
Yeah. Sick leave donations may be made in blocks of 40 hours or less.
Yeah, instead of having somebody just go and donate 300 hours of sick leave, it's kind of willy-nilly when people do that, and so we need a little control over it.
Yeah.
So as a select board member, can they donate to me?
Yes, because, yeah.
I'm thinking John must have a little left over on his way out to.
Yeah, I can donate to you on my way out. No, just kidding.
Are you sick, Danny?
No, I'm definitely sick. I just heard about this, I missed it, they did this in the year I was off, and I thought it was a great thing. I just heard about it last.
So any donation above 40 hours would have to be approved by the town manager, that's what I said in here.
Well, and you also made it so that you have to go through all your other leave too.
Yeah, you have to use up your other leave, because we've had people who had major sick leave donations, but still had, 5 weeks of vacation time, which doesn't make any sense.
No, it should be that way. Right.
So.
And then when they leave, we end up paying their vacation time.
Right.
So generally though, this brings, it just kind of puts more parameters around it and kind of brings it more to the intent of the program.
Yeah, there's a benefit to help people
Right.
and do it a little bit at a
Do you need
time
a motion?
and continue to help people, but don't just dump all your sick leave.
So I move that we approve the changes to the Hardwick personnel guidelines relating to donation of sick time.
Second.
I like it when I say something, and girls are fighting over seconding it.
Any more discussion?
Good one.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
You have to sign it too.
Next is select board to consider approving and signing the State of Vermont Revolving Loan Program Step 2 Engineering Loan Document for the Bridgman Hill Reservoir Roof Project for $22,600. And we talked about this last time. So moved.
Second?
Okay. So,
You want to revisit that just for a second?
just for a second, just give us the overview.
Just, the state has said that if we move ahead with successful bond process and we build the roof, they will forgive up to $35,000 of the engineering costs, so actually they're gonna cover the entire amount as a grant. So we'll get the money back.
That's beautiful.
Good work, Don, do it.
But we have to go through these steps.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to approve the loan for Bridgman Hill Reservoir. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So do you have that with you that we have to sign to?
Where the representative
That was coming.
sign here.
Let me check, let me look.
While we're signing, any
you.
select board reports?
I'd like to report that my seat still doesn't have a cushion.
I would like to report that we've told you there's cushioned seats downstairs, you just need to move them up here.
No, we found some. We found some cushions.
Oh, right.
No.
That's right.
Townhouse.
Where are those cushions?
The red cushions at the townhouse.
They're over there?
Yeah.
I'll make-
Borrowed a few, but there are some there.
All right, there we
I'm
go.
on it. I'm gonna take, as a
You're on
select
it.
board report, I'm gonna.
Okay, good.
Right by the home.
Hey, would you nominate him as a task force of one to get a cushion for his chair?
I'll second that.
He's on the Keister committee. All right.
I'm the chair.
He's the chair, yeah.
Any new business?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was reading the coin drop policy last night.
Oh, yeah.
And it turns out that in the policy, it says that coin drops shall occur between 11 and 2. And everybody knows that the traffic is gone by then.
Yeah, you gotta get them during the dump.
Right, so you'll be there 8 or 9 till about 11 or so. I would like to suggest at the next meeting or some further meeting that we just take out that and say the coin drop shall happen at the will of the association or something like that.
Or just.
How about between 8 and 5?
There you go.
And not make it like it, somebody will want to do it at midnight, trust me.
Oh,
Exactly.
I see, just during the daylight.
Some perimeters.
Yeah. Okay.
Cattle need fence.
That sounds,
So we'll put it on the future agenda.
So we'll
Got
put it on the future agenda.
so that'll be in our minutes, and then we can maybe try to remember that. All right.
It's a reasonable request,
It is.
but that's gotta be the librarian coming out and there where you're just socially reading.
Is this
On
the
a Wednesday
insomniac
night reading,
coming
I
out?
think I'll pull out the old
All right.
coin drop.
Any other
The once over.
new business?
No new business.
Old business?
So there's a rash of people that are parking going the opposite direction on Main Street.
Parking left curb.
Yeah.
That's not legal.
And I watch them, and the big thing about it, besides the fact that it just personally irritates me, the huge thing about it, and the reason why it's in our ordinance to not do that is besides the fact that it's disconcerting to people coming towards you, but I watch them pull out, and it's
Dangerous.
really terrifying.
Yeah.
Because of course, they have to cross,
Oncoming traffic.
Yeah, you have to cross, so both
The bad visibility,
directions
looking
of
over
traffic
your
have to be
shoulder.
clear for you to pull
And
out.
while that may have been clear when you pulled in there,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily.
I'm not
So
sure how they
I
get out with a
We don't
snowbank.
seem to have any, we don't seem to have much activity on parking enforcement and stuff, which, is not a bad thing. But,
can be,
I don't know. Aaron's here tonight, so do we have anybody? Because I've called on this a few times, and I just don't feel like it actually gets anything accomplished. So are we ticketing people that do that, or do we just not bother, or?
Ooh, I didn't hear the first part of your conversation. We were going over that.
You weren't listening to me?
People parking in the wrong direction.
People parking left of curb.
People on Main Street in the congested area where the crosswalks are there. And yesterday I watched 3 cars, because one does it and then somebody else does it behind them and then somebody else does it in front of them. And then they all want to leave at the same time. And it's snowing. And yeah, so I don't know, do we have parking enforcement going on at this point? Not really.
Not a designated person to do it right now. No.
Is that an open position?
Are we gonna have to take a look at that? Because we don't have
I don't think the health has been great of the individual that was doing it.
So we may have to start posting to see whether or not someone else can help.
Because ideally, we want somebody to do that where we're not not necessarily yanking an officer.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for an officer to have.
Well, that's why we have that officer.
And they do the dog control part of it too.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think any of us. So I agree with Sherry, I don't like it when I see that either, it's definitely unsafe.
It's really tricky.
No, it is dangerous, yeah.
But you know what I noticed tonight that I'd never noticed before on Main Street is our streetlights are not in the right spots for our crosswalks. And first of all, I don't think our streetlights are bright enough for Main Street, at least during this time of year. But tonight I really noticed it because somebody walked out.
It doesn't light, they're not set to light up.
They're not, yeah, right. It's like they're in the middle of the 2 lights. It's the darkest spot.
Is it really?
It's the darkest spot on the street is where we have our crosswalk. And it's just the way things were designed.
Right, you know? It's just the layout.
But it's a concern because I just left, I parked in front of Pie.
Yeah.
And I pulled out and I mean, I was looking at you 2, you came out the door. And I really did see that person standing on, and if you're on the other side of the street, coming this way, it's black.
There's no lights over there at all.
No.
I wonder if we could look into putting lights on the other side of the street.
Where the crosswalks are.
And it arch over maybe and.
Even if they were not a pretty street light, right. Something back on the wall, I don't know. It's a safety issue, especially this time of year, which is our busiest downtown, one of our busiest, other than the summer. You know, November, December are busy times when it's dark at 4:30 in the afternoon. So it's just a note. I guess that should have been a select board report. Old business is what that was.
All right. Yeah.
Move on.
Crosswalks. All right. As fun as this is.
Oh, one more thing, please. Crosswalks. What's the status of the expensive crosswalks we had painted?
Oh yeah, how are they?
Because I'm noticing that
they got peeled a little bit, but they're still looking.
Are they better? I don't remember which
ones. They look 100 times better than any of the stop bars.
You can.
Right,
and usually this time of year you can't see them.
Right, because the other ones we can't. I noticed one the other day that
I was looking for. I was looking for one the other day.
So if I see one, that's one of the ones.
If you see one of the ones that's painted, let us know. I don't know where they went.
I mean, I assume somebody was paying attention, but
Yeah, I've been looking at them. Vanessa's been filling me in on the corners getting peeled up on a couple of them by the
because we want to keep track of it. That was our plan, was to do.
Yeah, see if it's worth it.
Get them into a rotation.
Yeah.
Is there any type of I don't know, I'm not a road guy, obviously, so is there any type of reflective material that can be used for that? Because we got, you know, where you, I mean, you've talked about the lighting, which I agree with you 100%. I've seen that as well. The cars are parked too close to the crosswalk, so there's a number of hazardous situations to the crosswalks, and I didn't know if there's
they have glass feeds. Did we get glass in those?
I don't know, I think we've done a lot better than we had. Ever since, for the last 30 years, they haven't even been there in the wintertime.
No, we're getting better at it. I mean, these are issues that we're just...
We bought that tape we put on there is
reflective, right, but it's not...
It's just covered in dirt and
snow and shit. Oops.
I think the answer is that any reflective material you're going to use there is not going to stay. Yeah. There's too much traffic.
You mean if there was like a raised reflector that really you could see, it wouldn't stay?
Speed bump.
Yeah.
Even, we had speed bumps, they're called potholes.
All right. Okay, so I need a motion to move into executive session to discuss some personnel contracts to include the town manager, the police chief, and the incoming town manager.
So second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I was in court.
Who's